Hi, Prahlad.
Hare Krishna, Master.
How are you?
Good night.
Okay. So, should I share my screen? Then you can just work off this if you like. Okay. Would you like to start us off, Vrinda?
Okay. I got Tritiya, the plural of Tritiya.
Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's also open up the vibhakti chart here. Excellent. Okay. So the first one you have is Tritiya, right?
Yeah.
Tritiya plural.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are just going to say 3.3, okay? Why 3.3? So the first three refers to Tritiya Vibhakti. The second three refers to plural. Why 3 and not 2, singular and plural? Because in Sanskrit we also have dual. Okay. So which we are not learning currently. We are only focusing on singular and plural. So you have things like padau, which means 2 feet. Padaha, padau. You don't hear about Krishna's padaha, many feet. No, he's got 2 feet. Padau. Karnau, 2 years. So, yeah. So what we are doing here is 3.3. First number refers to the vibhakti. So we'll put that down someplace, okay? Is the what did you call it? Singular, plural. What did you call it?
Dual.
You call it no Sanskrit. So that's ekavachana or bahuvachana. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So kaihi is 3.3. Maya saha or maya. Maya saha.
Tritiya.
Good. Tritiya, and is that singular, plural?
Singular.
Singular. And what word is it referring to? So when you look at our chart, you know how right on top you have I, you, me, and so on. I, you, he, and so on. So which one is that? Maya would be?
I.
I. Excellent. So this is a 3.1 and it is I. Now, Kaihi, coming back to you, Vrinda, it's 3.3 and what is the word?
Oh,
In Prathama, what would that word be?
Kaha.
Very good. Excellent job. Kaha. Kaha, 3.3 would be Kaihi. Similarly, Aham, 3.1 becomes Maya or Maya Saha. Okay, excellent. Asmin.
I got Saptami.
Very good. Saptami what? Ekavachan? Bahuvachan?
Singular.
Very good. Ekavachanam. And what is the root word? Main word?
I'm not sure about that.
So asmin works exactly like etasmin. Okay, so asmin is etasmin. Okay, so asmin, asya, all means this. Okay, relating to this. So we'll just put this down here. Okay, excellent. Rana samudyame.
Will that be Shaptami?
Yes, very good. Saptami, and is it singular or plural?
Singular.
Very good. Singular. And what is the word here?
Strife. Something.
Yes, but in what is the prathama of this word then? In Saptami, it is Rana Samudyame. In Prathama, what would it be?
Rana Samudyam.
Samudyamaha
Maha.
or Samudyamam, depending on whether it's neuter or. Okay, excellent. Now, next one. Karmani.
I got Prathama.
Okay. And what is it?
Singular. Oh no. Plural.
Plural. Okay. Now, Kritavan is actually, the meaning is he did. Okay. So in present, it would be karoti. So here it would be karmani karoti. Would you still say it is 1.3?
Would it be Dvitiya then?
Yes. Okay. Because how do you say eating? Bhojanam karoti. Danam karoti. So means it has to be dvitiya. When you do something, the object of that deed is in dvitiya. Correct? So here the object of karoti is what? Karmani. So it has to be dvitiya. Does that make sense to both of you? Okay. Okay. Next. What is the next word or phrase you want to take?
Ramena.
Not just Saharamena.
So it will be Saha Ramena or Ramena Saha. So Ramena, you're right. So Ramena would be?
Tritiya.
Tritiya, very good. And Ekavachanam va, Bahuvachanam va?
One.
Ekavachanam. Vadatu?
Ekavachanam.
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 Bahu samichinam. Keshavaha.
Prathama.
Ekavachanam va, Bahuvachanam va?
Ekavachanam.
Bahu samichinam. Ekavachanam. Atimatyani.
Is it Dvitiya? Plural?
Now, if you look at this verse 1:120, because how do we know it's plural and not singular? If it is plural, which is the other plural out here? I mean, sorry. How do we know it's dvitiya and not prathama? Is the question. Okay, we know it's plural because it ends in ani. How do we know it's dvitiya or prathama? Now here we have karmani, which is in Dvitiya. Now, if atimartyani relates to karmani, then we are okay. It is Dvitiya. Okay. So let's go to the verse and look at the meaning of this particular word. So 1:20. Where are we?
Superhuman. Oh.
Yeah. Superhuman acts.
Have you got that verse or shall I share my screen?
We got the verse.
Oh, you got the verse. Excellent. Okay. So, atimartyani means superhuman, correct? Yeah. So, and karmani means acts. So the two words do go together, right? So the word atimartyani can be an adjective for karmani. Atimartyani karmani, superhuman acts. In which case, you'd be very correct if you said that it was Dvitiya and Bahuvachan. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. I'm not looking at the word Bhagavan because we haven't done the Bhagavat ending words, but Bhagavan here is Prathama. Okay, Prathama Ekavachanam. Bahusamichinam. Goodah.
I said Prathama.
Very good. Ma. Ekavachanam va Bahuvachanam va?
Ekavachan.
Samichinam. Kapatamanushaha.
Will that be Pratama?
Yes. And
Ekavachanam.
Ekavachanam. Bahusamichinam. So do you understand what's happening? What we're actually doing here? Okay, so once we have analyzed all the words in a verse, then what we can do is we can say that whatever numbers are the same, so 1.1, 1.1, 1.1, all the 1.1s will go together. So Keshavaha, Gudaha, Kapatamanushaha, all three refer to the same person. Does that make sense? Or same object?
No.
Okay. Similarly, 2.3, 2.3. Karmani and Atimartyani both refer to the same thing. Okay. Saharamena is separate. So usually when you say Saharamena, there has to be a doer. Correct? So you have Keshavaha, Gudaha, Kapatamanushaha, Saharamena, Ati Martyani Karmani Kritavan Kila. So now what you have done is you have taken the verse and you have twisted it up and put it all together in the right, all the right words fit together. And all of a sudden you now have a sentence. It's no longer a poem. In which case it makes it easier to understand. So shall we try that exercise here? So what happens? So what is usually your first word in a sentence? Yes, very good. The prathama, right? The doer. So here we have three prathamas, ekavachans, right? So we have Keshavaha, then we have Gudaha, and we have Kapatamanushaha. So these three go together. Then we have Saharamena, because what did Keshava do? With Rama. Or when we say Ramena Saha. Yeah. So Keshava, Krishna, who is Gudha. Gudha means he's secretive, secret. Kapata Manushaha, he appears as if he's human, but he is not. Kapata means deceptive. He's deceptively human. What did he do? With Rama, with Balarama. Okay. So with Balarama, what did he do? Atimartyani Ani. So superhuman acts. Now Kritavan is actually past tense. We haven't learned past tense yet. Okay. But Kritavan is equal to Karoti. So we'll just put down Kritavan. And within brackets, we'll say Karoti in the past. Okay. Kritavan, Kila. Kila is, you know how we say in, you guys know Tamil, right? Yeah. Okay. So our Senjarilia, we say that Ilya at the end. That is Kila. Sahakritavan Kila. In English, we would say he did it, didn't he? But except the didn't he is kind of a question. The Ilya is not a question. It's just a word that kind of emphasizes him doing something and you being, whoa, he did that, didn't he? Kind of thing. So the killer. So now you have this whole verse in the form of a sentence. Now I'd like you to read it and tell me if that as a sentence makes sense to you. Read it out loudly, please.
Keshavaha Gudaha Kapata Manushaha Ramena Saha Atimatyani.
Yeah, instead of Karmani, I put Atimatyani again. Atimatyani Karmani Kritavan Kila. Okay. Now, who's the doer?
Keshavaha.
Keshavaha. Now, Gudaha and Kapatamanushaha, what are they?
Adjective.
They are adjectives which describe Keshavaha, right? So it is best to put them in front of Keshavaha. Gudaha Kapatamanushaha Keshavaha. So that Keshava who is Guda, who is coward, Kapatamanusha, deceptively appearing like a human being, with Balarama, performed many superhuman acts, didn't he? Now, because in written English, we don't say, didn't he? The killer gets translated into something like definitely or he certainly performed such acts. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So going forward, if you come across simple verses, you can actually try this exercise. Then what happens, even if you don't remember the verse, you remember the story behind the verse and you can actually create the verse if you know Sanskrit. You don't need to remember Kritavan Kila Karmani Saha Ramena Keshavaha. You could just go Gudaha Kapata Manushaha Keshavaha Ramena Saha Atimartyani Karmani Kritavan Kila. That's easy to remember. It's a sentence. It's a logical sentence. And all the words are there. So when you're giving classes or something like that, when you're talking to people, it not only, so you not only know the verse, you actually know how to put the verse in prose, and that's impressive. People get maha impressed with that. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah, excellent. Next one. Would you like to go, Prahlad? Vaktrani.
Vaktrani, is that Pratama plural?
Very good. Prathama bahuvachanam. Vaktrani. Okay. Te.
Pratama plural.
Not really, actually. Because here, if you, would you like to go to the verse?
Okay.
Your.
Got it? Oops.
It says the direct translation is your.
Your, exactly. Because it comes from, just one moment here. Coming back. Vaktrani te. Te is your. It's basically from tuam, which we haven't learned so far. Okay, so when you come across the word te, it does not necessarily need to be prathama plural, masculine. Okay, it could well be tava, which means your. You know how we have tava kara kamalavare, tava means your. Now we haven't learned that. Instead, we have learned bhavataha. Because the whole tvam is a whole different ball game altogether. So there are a lot of different ways, different things that we have to learn when it comes to the verbs. How to say, we say bhavan gacchati. We don't say tvam gacchati, we say tvam gacchasi. And then tvam and yuyam. So there's a lot more things to learn there. So we haven't gone down that path at all. So the te here is just for you to know that it does not always need to be 1.3. Prathama bahuvachan. Does that make sense? So here, now we shall remove the te. Okay. Tvaramanaha.
This one I'm not really sure. Is it Dvitiya plural?
Tvaramanaha. Okay, look at the meaning. Tvaramanaha means rushing. Okay, so it is obviously a adjective. Yeah, like we say, the rushing waters. Yeah, so we'll keep it at the back of our mind. Okay, we'll leave it there for now. It's an adjective. Okay, now do you see any other words that end in aha?
Vilagnaha.
Yeah. Vilagnaha.
Vilagnaha. And actually, the reason it's getting a little confusing is because the previous verse is not there. So the previous verse talks about all of Dhritarashtra's sons, Bhishma, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, everyone rushing into Krishna's mouth. Okay, so here is your clue then. Everyone is rushing. Twaramanaha. In which case, what should it be? Everyone is. Who is the doer? Everyone is the doer. So, which vibhakti should that be?
Prathama.
Prathama, very good. Okay, so it should be Prathama and Ekavachanam va Bahuvachanam va?
Bahuvachanam.
Bahuvachanam. Vishanti. Vishanti. What is Vishanti? Is it a noun, verb, adjective? What is it?
Verb.
Verb. Very good. And is it singular or plural?
Singular.
Plural. Very good. Yes, Prahlad, you're right. It's plural. What would be the singular?
Vishati.
Vishati. Gachati, gachanti. Vishati, vishanti. Excellent. Damshtra karalani.
Prathama plural.
Very good. Prathama plural. And would that be masculine, feminine, or neuter?
Neuter.
Yes, neuter. What would be the singular?
Dumbstruck. Karalam.
Very good. Damshtra karalam. Phalam, phalani. Damshtra karalam, damshtra karalani. Make sense? Excellent job. Well done. Well done. Both of you just brilliant. Okay. Bhayanakani.
Is that Dvitiya?
Damshtra karalani bhayanakani. No, bhayanakani means terrifying.
It's an adjective.
And damshtra kara, yes, it's an adjective. Very good. And damshtra karalani means teeth and claws. So bhayanakani, damshtra karalani. So you already have damshtra karalani as 1.3. What do you think bhayanakani should be?
1.3.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's defining the same object. Excellent. Vilagnaha.
Prathama plural.
Very good. Prathama bahuvachanam. Now, is this masculine, feminine, or neuter?
Masculine.
Yes. Because it might have been feminine, but then vilagna is usually not a word. Vilagnaha is the word. Okay. Now the same way when you go up here, twaramanaha, this too is masculine. Okay. Now the next word, dashantareshu.
Saptami plural. So,
Very good. Saptami bahuvachanam. Churnitaihi.
Tritiya bahuvachanam.
Ya bahuvachanam. Uttamangaihi.
is that also Tritiya plural?
Excellent. Tritiya bahuvachanam. Okay. Excellent job. So now here you will have Vilagnaha tvaramanaha. Bhayanakani damshtakarani vaktrani. They'll all go together. Uttamangaihi churnitaihi. These two will go together. Dashantaresh. Dashanantareshu will be separate. Does that make sense? And we are not going to analyze this verse because it's a bit complicated and we haven't reached there yet. Okay? But the earlier verse was very simple. Now, does this all make sense to you? Are you okay with your vibhakti chart? Yeah, you know how to use it and you're quite comfortable with it? Okay. In which case, today we're going to have a slightly short class, mainly because the others are not there and I do want to start with something new. I want to actually start with Chaturthi Vibhakti. Okay. Now, Chaturthi Vibhakti, I'll give you a little background. Chaturthi Vibhakti is also known as the dative case. And this is something we are slightly familiar with already. You remember aham ramasya krite dadami. Ramasya krite. We ended up using shashti and adding krite. But actually there is a whole vibhakti dedicated to that. And that is the Chaturthi Vibhakti. So the first thing is when you are giving something to someone, you can say aham bhikshukaya bhojanam dadami. We used to say aham bhikshukasya krite bhojanam dadami. Then when you want to say I am doing something for something, he works for money. Sahadhanaya karyam karoti. So this is how the whole thing works. Okay. Like I said, I don't want to go into details here today. We will work on it next week, and there is a lot of or should we just get started and do it? What if next week nobody comes? Let's get started and do it. Okay, do you guys mind?
Yeah.
Good. No? Okay, excellent. So Chaturthi Vibhakti. This is used. There are different cases when it's used. So be sure you remember when all it's used. Okay, the first is when something is being done for something. I do something for you. He does something for the dog. She does something for her mother. He does something for the sake of something else. So wherever we're talking about for the sake of whatever, that whatever appears in Chaturthi Vibhakti. Okay, so we have an example here. He works for money. What is he working for? He works. We already know he works. Saha karyam karoti. That is simple, straightforward. Okay, so again, we start with our questions. First question, who is the doer? He. He is. So saha. What is he doing? Working. Karyam karoti. Then comes the question, for what? For the sake of what? For money. Dhanam, dhanaya. Okay, so what actually happens is masculine and neuter, Krishna, the becomes aya. Krishna, Krishnaya. Repeat after me, please. Krishna,
Krishna.
Krishnaya.
Krishnaya.
Vamanaha.
Vamanaha.
What will it become? Vamanaya. Balaramaha.
Balaramaha.
Keshavaha.
Keshavaya.
Gajaha.
Gajaya.
Ajaha.
Ajaya.
Ajaya. Prahladaha.
Praladaya.
Prahladaya. Narsimha.
Nrsimha. Nrsimha.
Nashimaya.
Okay, firstly, it's not Narashimha. Okay, it's Narasimha. Say it.
Narasimha.
Very good. Narasimha. Narasimha. Narasimhaya.
Narasimhaya.
Very good. What do we say? Namaste Narasimhaya. Do we say that?
Yes.
Yeah. Namaha. That also comes later. Okay. Okay. So all the masculine words become aya. Neuter words, same story. Dhanam, dhanaya. Phalam,
Palaya.
phalaya. Jalam,
Jalaya.
patram,
Patraya.
dhanyam,
Dhanaya.
dhanyaya.
Yeah.
Excellent. And the question there is kasmai. And the answer to that for him is tasmai. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay. So the tasmai is Chaturthi Vibhakti. Does that make sense? Now, when it comes to feminine, it answers the question kasyai. Okay. So here is kasmai, and here the question is kasyai. Okay. Kasmai, kasyai. And the answer, if it's ending in a, is Radha becomes Radhayai. What does it become?
Radhayai.
Vaidya,
Vaidyayai.
Chhatra,
Chatrayai.
Balika,
Balikayai.
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 Vriddha,
Vriddayai.
Vrinda.
Vrindayai.
Very good. There you go. Vrindayai, Tulasi Devyai, Priyayai, Keshavasya cha. So the whole thing, Vrindayai Chaturthi. Tulasi Devyai. Again, when it ends in E, Parvati, Parvatyai. Devi, Devyai. Dadhi, Dadhyai. So, Vrindayai, Tulasi Devyai, Priya, Priyayai. Keshavasya cha, Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi, Satyavati.
Satyavati.
Yeah, Satyavatyai Namo Namaha. Now, why do we see? Now, do you see? I don't know if you've noticed. Every time there is a Namo Namaha, whenever there is a Namaha, you will find Chaturthi Vibhakti. So here you go. When the words Namaha, Swaha, and Swasti are used. Om Namah Shivaya. We don't say Om Shivam Namaha. We don't say that. We don't say Ganesham Namaha. We say Ganeshaya Namaha. Shivaya Namaha. Krishnaya Namaha. Narayanaya Namaha. When we are doing Swaha, Idam Krishnaya Idam Namama. Do we say that? Have you ever done fire sacrifices? When you're doing fire sacrifices, what do you say? Idam Krishnaya Idam Namama. Idam Radhikayai Idam Namama. Idam Vaishnavaya Idam Namama. Idam Gurave Idam Namama. Okay, so what does it mean? This is for Krishna. Idam na mama. What does that mean?
Not for me.
Not for me. It's not mine. This is Krishna's. This is an offering to Krishna. It is not for me. Okay, makes sense? So when you're doing something for something or someone, when you're giving something to someone, aham bhikshukaya bhojanam dadami. I give food to the beggar. Saha vrikshaya jalam dadati. He waters the tree. Basically, what does it mean? He gives water to the tree. Saha vrikshaya jalam dadati. Earlier, we saw it as vrikshasya krite jalam dadati. Vikshukasya krite bhojanam dadati. But now we have actually shortened it. Instead of vikshukasya krite, we say vikshukaya. Vrikshasya krite vrikshaya. Make sense? Okay. Now let's look at, does this all make sense? Any questions? Okay. How will you say, using Chaturthi Vibhakti, translate this. Mother gives, we haven't done me, but okay. Mother gives me food. And let me tell you, I'll share my Vibhakti chart with you, which has Chaturthi Vibhakti as well. Mother gives me food. What is it?
Oh, no.
Have you finished?
No.
Okay, Vrinda, tell me.
What was the sentence?
Mother gives me food.
Was the sentence mother gives me food? Janani mahyam bhojanam dadati.
Bahu samichinam. Okay, then I want to say, I bow down to Balarama or Shankarshana. I bow down to Shankarshana. And I want you to use the word Namaha. In fact, it's not I bow down. It's obeisances to Shankarshana. And we have to Remember, we have to use Chaturthi, and here we'll use. Very good. Say it loudly, Prahlad.
Sankarshanaya.
Shankarshanaya.
Sankarshanaya Namaha.
Okay. Now you need to understand how to write Shankarshana. Okay. Where are we? Read this out.
Sankarshanaya.
Very good. Okay. Sankarshanaya Namaha. Okay. Sankarshanaya. Samyak akarshanam karoti. Sankarshanaha. One who nicely attracts. Okay. Sankarshanaya Namaha. Excellent. Now let's look at some examples from our scriptures. Do you remember this verse? Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha means Namaha Namaha. Okay, it's Namaha Namaha being repeated twice, but because of Sandhi rules, the Namaha, the first one, becomes Namo Namaha. Does that make sense? So whenever you have Namaha in one of your verses, remember, there will always be Chaturthi Vibhakti. What Vibhakti will be there?
Chaturthi.
When it is Namaha, it will be Chaturthi. Okay. When it is Swaha, it will be Chaturthi. When it is Swasti, it will be Chaturthi. Swastyastu Vishwasya Khala Prasidatam. So in that, if it is, when a word like Swasti comes, it's always, the noun is always Chaturthi. So these two, who can tell me where this comes from, these two verses?
Queen's Kunti prayers.
Beautiful. Well done. Excellent job. Queen Kunti's prayers. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namaha Pankajanabhaya Namaha Pankajamaline Namaha Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajanghaye. Now, do you see Maline and Pankajanghaye? This is because it is Malini and Pankajangri. Just like Hari. Okay, so Hari becomes Haraye. Do you all know that song? Do you both know that song? Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yeah? Do you know that?
Yeah.
So can you sing the first line for me?
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Very good. Now I'm just going to write exactly what you sang, okay? Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. And then Yada
Vaya. Madhavaya.
Vaya Keshavaya Namaha. Correct?
Oh.
Now, Hari is what vibhakti?
Hi. Pratama. Yeah. Is it Pratama? Or
Yeah, it is actually Prathama, okay? Which makes this whole thing a bit strange. Just give me a minute. Do we find that in KK songs? The words to the song?
I
We should, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Song lyrics. First words of the song. No wonder. See. Okay. So Hari is the doer. Correct?
Yeah.
What is Hari doing? What is the verb out here?
Namaha.
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 Since
Does that make sense? Krishna is doing namaskar. Does that make sense?
because
No.
it says Haraya, so that means it's not two.
Yeah. Yeah.
I-
So Krishna is bowing down to Hari. Yeah? But wait. We say Haraya. Okay. Krishnaya. What is the main name?
Krishna.
Krishna. Correct? Haraya. What is the main name?
Hara.
Haraha.
Hara. Correct? Now, do you know who is Hara?
Energy of the body.
No. That is Hara. Hara. Hara is Lord Shiva. So now all of a sudden you have a song here which says Lord Krishna is bowing down to Lord Shiva. Does that even make sense? Is that what we would be singing in the temple? And do you know why it doesn't make sense? Because we are singing it all completely wrong. Okay, so Hari is not. So if you want to look at the words, if you go to okay, so what is the word?
Hari.
Hare. Okay, Hare. Now Hare is what? Hare is what vibhakti is Hare?
Calling out.
Very good, calling out. And this Hare could either be you calling out to Radharani, Hara, or it could be you calling out to Krishna, Hari. Okay. Hari, when you call out, becomes Hare. Hara, when you call out, becomes Hare. Okay. So now we've solved that problem. We are not saying that Krishna is bowing down to Shiva. We have said we are calling out to Krishna or we are calling out to Radharani. Both of which makes sense. Look at the next word. Haraye. Haraye. Is that the same as haraya? Haraye means unto Hari. So just like Krishna becomes Krishnaya, Hari becomes Haraye. Chaturthi vibhakti of Hari. So Hare, Haraye Namaha. Now the next word, does that make sense? Okay, we are calling out Hare and we are saying Haraye Namaha. I bow down to Hari. So that itself kind of gives us, logically speaking, the Hare should be Hari. We are calling out to Hari, not Hara. Okay. And that logic is sustained by the next phrase. Krishna. Who are we calling out to?
Krishna.
Krishna. Yadavaya Namaha. Who are we bowing down to?
To Yadava.
To Yadava. So Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hare Haraye Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Make sense? Now the whole song is actually in Bengali, but the first two lines are in Sanskrit. Okay, so if we say Hari Haraya Namaha, we are completely messing up with the meaning of the song. Okay, we are saying Lord Hari is bowing down to Lord Shiva. Yay, yay, yay. Make sense? Not really, actually. Okay, so pronunciation is extremely important. And now that you know the meaning of these words, when you hear them being pronounced wrongly, you don't have to go correct people, but you know it's wrong and you know what you should sing. Make sense? Yeah. So we are going to stop here and I'll send you this, and there is some homework there. There is no video for this. So I'll just give me a minute. Okay. So there are lots of other verses here as well, which you can go through. And there is some homework. Identify the various vibhaktis. And we'll catch up next week. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bahu bahu dhanyawadaha. Agami saptahe milamaha. Astu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.